Transmissions jammed. Proximity coverage only.
Hey guys, Jacob here. Today I'm going to be covering how to get every single exotic weapon in Division 2. I'm going to be covering the base ones in DC and also the new ones in Warlords New York. First, if you guys are new, welcome to the channel. I upload daily Division 2 content on stuff like the vendor resets, build videos, named weapons and gear reviews, and much more. Like I said, today I'm going to be covering every single exotic weapon. First, I'm going to get right into it and talk about the first one, which is going to be the Chameleon. The Chameleon is coated in a light refracting technology designed by a DARPA research team and has a total of 63k damage, 900 RPM with 50 rounds in the magazine. This has 11% assault rifle damage, 18% health damage, and 8.5 crit chance. The talent on this is Adaptive Instincts, which is hitting 30% headshots, grant 20% crit hit chance, and 50% crit hit damage for 45 seconds. Hitting 60 body shots grants 80% weapon damage for 45 seconds. Hitting 30 leg shots grants 150% reload speed for 45 seconds. The attachments on this weapon are 15% accuracy, 10% crit chance on the grip, and 5% on the dampener muzzle. And you get plus 20 rounds from the Chameleon Active Camo Processor, which is the magazine, so you have a total of 50 rounds in the magazine. Overall, to acquire this weapon, you guys can actually just go to loot allocation areas, which are labeled assault rifles, and at the moment it is the DZ if you want to go in here and try to farm and get this weapon. I've had multiple of these drop in the DZ, and I've gotten them pretty quickly. If you just farm a bunch of heroic landmarks, you'll have this in no time, or if you're not a DZ player, you can go in PvE and look for missions that are labeled assault rifle. At the moment it's not, and you can farm those to get this weapon. But overall, that's pretty much how you guys get the Chameleon. Next is going to be the Eagle Bear, which is going to be the main big one and a lot of you guys do not have or are trying to get still because it's pretty difficult to get. The inscription reads, "For the tireless defense and service in the wake of our shared national tragedy, we present this to Dissa Sawyer. May she always rise to meet the challenges in her path, the people of the theater settlement." The total damage on this is 101.9k, 750 RPM with 60 rounds in the magazine, 40% assault rifle damage, health damage, and headshot damage. You get Eagle Strike and Tenacity. Eagle Strike's accuracy increases as you constantly fire up to 30%. Headshot kills will grant the Tenacity buff for 15 seconds. The strength of Tenacity is increased by 1% body shots and 5% for headshots. 40 to 80% of the damage taken is delayed until the buff expires, which this is Tenacity. All the total damage, delayed damage, is reduced for each enemy killed while the buff is active up to 100% with 3 kills. The attachments on this weapon are 10% crit hit chance on the sights, 15% crit hit damage on the jagged beak, 10% stability on the talon grips, and 30 rounds in the bullet IRE magazine. So overall, this is the highest capacity magazine on any exotic assault rifle in the game currently at the moment. To acquire this weapon, it might actually be a little bit difficult for you guys. You're actually going to have to go to the Operation Dark Hours raid and have 8 people and complete this. I would recommend farming it with people who already have it, and at the very end you have a chance to get it out of the box. You also have a chance to get it from the raid bosses, but I've only seen a few people actually have that much luck and get it. It may take you 5 runs, it may take you 20 runs, it may take you 50 runs, just depending how high your luck is. But if you have 5 or 6 guys who already have it, your luck will increase more because when they open it, they do not need it, and they can just give it to you. But overall, that's how you acquire this weapon. Next is going to be the Bighorn, which is going to be another one. This is actually one of the new ones that's in the Warlords of New York DLC. The inscription on this is "Take aim, take a breath, steady yourself, concentrate, exhale, squeeze." Total damage is 95.6k, 800 RPM with 30 rounds in the magazine. So this does lack a little bit of ammunition. So if you guys like high ammo counters, I'd recommend using something like the Eagle Bear instead. Or if you want to use the Chameleon, you can as well. The talent on this is Big Game Hunter, which has, when scoped, switches to semi-automatic fire mode, dealing 450% weapon damage with each shot. So you get crit chance, health damage, same as pretty much all the other ARs as well. The only difference from this one is you can actually switch it like a selector switch on a pretty much standard rifle or an assault rifle, and this gun goes from full auto to semi. The attachment on this is going to be the Fire Select Scope, so when you zoom in, it switches to semi-mac mode. That gives you that 450% weapon damage. You get 10% stability on the grip, you get 10% accuracy on the muzzle, and you get 7% headshot damage on the tension spring for the magazine. And overall, to get this weapon, which since it's a new gun, you guys are going to have to go to the strongholds and do legendary difficulty, which I think you can only get this if you have Warlords of New York. I'm not sure. Some people said they cannot activate it, but if you go to the mission settings and go down to difficulty, you'll have to do legendary on one of these missions. If you want the easiest one, I'd recommend doing it. It's probably the easiest. You can keep farming it over and over and over again on legendary. If you have a few guys with rifle builds and a healer, you should get through it in no time. The second one is going to be District Union, which is pretty difficult for some people I know, but overall this one's actually my favorite, and it takes a little bit more time and it's more close quarters. But if you want an easy run, I'd recommend doing Roosevelt Island Legendary. Also, you get an exclusive outfit when you complete all 3 of these. but overall that's how you get the Bighorn Exotic Assault Rifle. Next is going to be the SMGs. I'm going to be covering the Chatterbox first, which is an OG weapon. If you guys are here from the original Division 2 days when the game first came out, they say I never know when to shut the hell up, but that's just a Spice talking dime hyena council member. 72.8 total damage, 700 RPM with 60 rounds in the magazine, SMG damage, crit chance, and crit hit damage. And you have Incessant Chatter, which is when your reload rate of fire is increased by 20% for each enemy within 15 meters for the duration of that magazine. Max stack is 5, kills refill 50% of your magazine. The attachments on this weapon are 5% crit chance, 10% crit chance on the muzzle, and you get the 10% reload speed on the magazine, and you get 15% weapon handling from the Chatterbox canister. To acquire this weapon, you guys can actually have it drop. I've had a few people say it's dropped in the DZ for them in loot allocation SMGs, or the standard way, and a lot of you guys are trying to get this, is just go to the hyena lockboxes in missions, which if this is not invaded, these will be hyenas, and same goes for over here. You can open this one, and this one, and there's a few more that are scattered around as well. You guys can look for, like there's one even over here if you guys want to go in here and get it. And when you open these with the keys, you guys can actually have a chance to get a part for the Chatterbox, and once you have all of them, you can go up to the crafting bench and craft it. And overall, that's pretty much how you guys get the Chatterbox. Next is going to be the Lady Death, which is a new SMG added to the game, which is from Warlords New York. It has an inscription, "Can't take our freedom, that's a lie, your freedom can always be taken. The only thing standing between you and a tyranny is the barrel of your gun." And it has a 2A enthusiast. And this has 70.1k total damage, 900 RPM with 32 rounds in the magazine, so it is a little bit ammo lacking, but the damage does make up for that just a little bit. You have SMG damage, crit chance, and damage to armor, and you have the talent Breathe Free, which is when moving, gain 4 stacks per second or 8 stacks if sprinting, up to 40 stacks total. Each round fire consumes a stack, amplifying damage by 60%. Kills grant 20% movement speed for 10 seconds, so essentially when you kill someone, you will turn into Sonic the Hedgehog. The attachments on this weapon are the Gaze of Death, which is 5% crit hit chance, and you have the muzzle, which is crit hit chance as well, and you have the grip, which is crit hit chance, so you have a total of 15 from using this weapon, and you have 10% reload speed, which is on the death hand for the magazine. To acquire this weapon, you guys are actually going to need Warlords of New York, obviously, because it's a new gun. And to acquire this, you guys want to kill open world bosses. One spawns over here occasionally, which I'll show you guys a few locations. One spawns over here, and one spawns over here, and there's a few other spawns if you guys want to look up all of them, but these are the main 3 that I farmed to get this weapon, and they do have a timer on them. After you kill one, you have to wait a certain time to kill them, or if you server hop in other people's servers, you don't have a chance to just kill bosses over and over and over again, and you can do that because it's on a different map. And that's about it for the Lady Death SMG. Next up is going to be the LMGs. First, I'm going to talk about the Pestilence, which is the main one a lot of you guys use in PvP. You will suffer as we suffered, former quarantine outcast, 88.6 total damage, 605 RPM with 100 rounds in the magazine, LMG damage, damage to sharks out of cover, and damage to armor. Plague of the Outcast is hits apply a debuff, dealing 100% weapon damage over 10 seconds. This stacks up to 50 times. Whenever an enemy dies with this debuff, all stacks are transferred to a nearby enemy within 25 meters. The attachments on this weapon are the magazine, which is 10% rate of fire, 10% weapon handling on the caution tape for the grip, and you get 10% stability on the muzzle, and there's no sights on this weapon, so there's only 3 attachments. To acquire this gun, you guys can actually pretty much just go into the DZ and farm your ass off, and just when it's loot allocation LMGs if you want to farm in there, or just farm it in general and just keep hitting heroic landmarks and challenging landmarks, and eventually you're bound to get this thing. It's pretty easy. I've had a few people say they've got it from the raid as well, just by killing a few bosses and it's dropped, and they're really unhappy because they thought it was an eagle bear. Also, I think you can get this from other missions as well. This is a drop for LMGs, but if you want to get this pretty quickly, I would just recommend going into the DZ and farming a bunch of landmarks, and you're bound to get it eventually. Next is going to be the Bullet King, which is actually probably the longest ones that, or basically this is the one that took me the longest to get. It says, pour one out for my bro. If he's use this, he will never have to run out of bullets. The Bullet King. And this is actually a reference basically from Bullet King, who was in the first game, which was a boss a lot of you guys farmed for, the Caduceus, if you remember that. He was an open world boss you can kill over and over and over again, and some people kind of abused it because he kept respawning out of the safe house, and you can keep killing him, but that's pretty much the reference. The total damage on this is 67.7k, 850 RPM with 100 rounds in the magazine. You have LMG damage, damage to targets out of cover, and crit hit damage. Then you have Bullet Hell. This weapon never needs to be reloaded. For every 100% bullets that hit an enemy, replenish some ammo to you and your allies' reserve. The attachments on this weapon are the Mag of Holdings, which is pretty much the endless capacity of bullets. the solid gold bipod, which is stability, and the crit hit chance, which is the gold-plated muzzle. To acquire this weapon, you guys are actually have to go to New York City, because this is a New York City weapon, and farm the missions that are labeled Wall Street, which is right over here, and also go farm the tombs, because these are Riker missions, and it will drop from a Riker boss. I would recommend farming them when they're actually loot allocations LMGs, so you have a higher chance to get this weapon to drop. But if you farm it a bunch, you will get it eventually, unless you're like me. For some reason, it took me 30 runs to get this weapon, and who knows why. That's pretty much going to be about it for the Bullet King. Next up is going to be the rifles, and then I'm going to be talking about the shotguns next. But the rifles, I'm going to be talking about the Diamondback first, which you guys can actually acquire this a few ways. First of all, I have in the description, it says, Watch the Watchman, Pedro Puckleo, Black Tusk. My bad, that's the wrong one. It says, I don't give a damn, it's not an actual Diamondback, I'll call it whenever I want, and I like the name Manning National Zoo Reptile Keeper. You have 603.5 total damage, 100 RPM, 5 rounds of the magazine with rifle damage, crit damage, headshot damage, and agonizing bite. Diamondback randomly marks an enemy, hitting an enemy consumes the mark, guaranteeing a critical hit with the damage amplifies by 20%. A new random enemy is marked afterwards, and whenever you reload, after hitting a mark, all shots fired are guaranteed 5% credits for 5 seconds. And the attachments on this weapon are the Diamondback red dot, which is accuracy. You have the reload speed from the Diamondback lever. You get the 10% stability from the grip, and you have the rattlesnake ornament, which is 15% crit hit damage. And it does look a little bit silly, but it's actually a pretty awesome gun to use. To acquire this weapon, you guys are going to go over to pretty much loot allocation rifles. I've had a few people say they've got this to drop in a few missions. I have some people say they dropped in the Wall Street. Someone said it dropped the other night for them instead of the Bullet King, and they weren't very happy. But the main way to get this, which most of you guys know, is Kinley College, which is not available at the moment. But after you do all the library, the metro station, and the student union, you'll have access to the final room, which will give you this reward, and you'll be able to get your hands on it. But until it opens, you're just going to have to farm for it and see if you can get it to drop for yourself. Next is going to be the Merciless, or the Ruthless, whatever you want to call it. Overall, this is pretty much the same weapon. This has a maintaining power, requires one of the Ruthless, Absolute Ruthless, Mayhem, Hyena Council member, and they have rifle damage, crit hit damage, and crit hit chance with 151.6k. And you have binary trigger, which essentially is the same thing as the Merciless. This weapon fires trigger pull and release. If bullets hit the same enemy, gain a stack. At 7 stacks, shooting an enemy creates a 7-meter explosion, dealing 1200% weapon damage, consuming the stack. So this used to be 900%, now it's 1200. The attachments on this weapon are 10% accuracy, 15% reload speed, 20% weapon handling, and 20% stability on the Mayhem muzzle. But essentially, this was like a pre-order bonus you could get and make the Merciless into the Ruthless. It's just pretty much a cosmetic thing, but these are essentially the same weapons together. But overall, if you want the Merciless, you can essentially just go to loot allocation rifles and just farm those areas. At the moment, it's currently down here, but when it hits basically a mission that's rifles, you can have it drop and just farm a bunch of times, and eventually you will get it. I actually got my Merciless when I was farming for the Bighorn, which I got both of them to drop the same a legendary mission, so it essentially can drop anywhere, and you can get this eventually. Next up is going to be the shotguns, or shotgun, which is the Lullaby and the Sweet Dreams, which are essentially the same thing as well, because they have the same talent. It says Sleep Tight, Mother Effer, Roach, Hyena Council member, 1.1 million, damage, 70 RPM with 8 rounds in the magazine, shotgun damage, damage to armor, and damage to target self-cover, and you have Sandman, melee attacks, instantly killed non-elite enemies, cooldown is 15 seconds. The attachments on this weapon are 15% accuracy from the optic on the top, which is the scope. You have 15% reload speed on the feed system, and you have 25% optimal range on the hardened grip, and you only have 3 attachments on this weapon. But overall, this is a pre-order bonus as well, if I remember correctly, and it's pretty much just essentially a cosmetic thing, and it doesn't really change the gun that much. But overall, that's pretty much going to be about it for the shotguns, and next is going to be the only sniper in the game, which is the Nemesis. And this is actually probably one of my favorite weapons in the game because it's so strong. It says, Watch the Watchman, Pedro Puck, Loud, Black Tusk, Sniper, 1.6 million. You have marksman rifle damage, headshot damage, and crit chance. And you have the Electromagic Accelerator, which shots fired deal up to 0 to 100% weapon damage based on how long the trigger is held before releasing. The attachments on this weapon are the 35% damage digital scope, the 5% crit hit damage on the barrel, the 15% weapon handling on the Nemesis bipod, and the 10% reload speed on the Nemesis bolts. To acquire this weapon, you guys can farm pretty much loot allocation sniper rifles, which I actually got mine out of the dark zone when it was sniper rifles and it dropped. Also, you can farm a few other areas that are sniper rifles as well and get this, like the main mission Camp White Oak. Or you guys can actually go to your crafting station and go to weapons and go all the way down to exotics, and you'll see right here this is the pretty much how you craft these. Same goes for, it's kind of like the chatterbox as well, but you can get the stock, the bolt, the barrel, and the pretty much the blueprint. Essentially, once you have all these and the scratch, once you get pretty much all these together, you can make this. And to make this weapon, you guys are going to have to go to every single stronghold. So you get a part from District Union, you will get a part from Capitol Building, you will get a part which you have to deconstruct a weapon in a box in the Tidal Basin, and you get a part from the stronghold Roosevelt Island. And after you're done with all those, you go over to District Union, or my bad, next to District Union, and Grand Washington Hotel's right here, and you will kill Puck, which is the first boss. You don't even have to complete the mission. Once you kill him, you will get the blueprint, and the next thing, you go to your crafting bench, and you craft this weapon, and then you have the Nemesis sniper rifle. So, but just a reminder, these have to like change, every rotation, so you have to do the ones that are invaded. So right now you have to do this one to get the part. Then when the next stronghold's invaded, you'll do that to get the other part. So if you don't want to do that, then just farm the DZ or the loot allocation area when it's marked sniper rifles, and eventually you'll get it. Well, that's going to be about it for the primary weapons. Next is going to be the last thing, which is going to be the sidearms, which is the Liberty. This is the exotic Liberty pistol, which it says, this gave me liberty as it gives others death, respect, and it will respect you. General Ridgway upon giving a sidearm to his subordinate. It says total damage, 436k damage, 173 RPM, 8 rounds of the magazine. Pistol damage charts off cover, and liberty or death. Gain a stack on each hit up to 30. Shot consumes all stacks, repairing your shield for 3%. The attachments on this weapon are the Create Chance Liberty Sight, 15 on the stability on the custom barrel, 15 on the rate of fire, and 15 on the reload speed. And to acquire this weapon, you guys are actually going to have to do a few things to get this, which is probably the easiest exotic in the game to get, or one of the least exotics, because it's guaranteed. You just have to do the missions to get it, and you guys are going to have to go all the way over to the Capitol Building to get the first part. That's where you'll get that part. Then next, you're going to have to go to the second mission, and after you kill the boss in this section, that's where you'll at the top you'll get the first, which is going to be the trigger mechanism. And then next, you're going to have to go to the American History Museum, which is right over here. You'll get that part. Then you're going to have to go all the way over to the Viewpoint Museum, which is right here. This will give you the third part. And then finally, you have to go down to Space Administration HQ, and this is where you get the pretty much the grip and the tags. And then next, you're going to go over to the base of ops, and then you're going to need to find a Desert Eagle or a D50, and then you pretty much can just craft this weapon and you are good to go. So essentially just do the missions on, I think it's like harder above or something like that, harder challenging above, and then you'll get the parts and you'll be good to go. And make sure they're not on invaded. So make sure none of these missions when you do them are invaded. Make sure they're on normal, so just turn the invasion off when you do it and you'll get the part. Overall, that's me about it for the exotics that are currently in the base game and also in Warlords New York. I will be talking about two more exotics as well, which are right here, which is going to be the Regulus and the Ravenous, which these are the two exotic weapons that are being added in the raid, which is the Foundry raid. You guys can see it's like a 350 with like a rat on it, and this is the one I'm mostly interested in, which is the double-barreled rifle, which I'm really excited to see how this functions, and I'll be covering it later on when the new raid comes out eventually later on, potentially this year. It drops, and I'll be covering these as well, but I'm not going to be covering them right now because they're actually not out yet, and I them. But overall, that's about it, guys. Thank you all for watching. Make sure you subscribe for more Division. I'll catch you guys all later.